Capricorn, something is shifting behind the scenes, and you may already be feeling it. August 11th is not just another day. As the solar eclipse and new moon approach, an old chapter begins losing its grip, while a completely different direction starts calling your name. The energy feels different. Capricorn, if the last few days have felt strange, emotional, unusually quiet, or even confusing, do not assume that something is wrong. Sometimes the biggest shifts begin before we can explain them. You may notice that certain conversations no longer interest you. Certain people may suddenly feel distant. Plans you once felt certain about may start making less sense. And strangely, you may feel less desperate to control the outcome. This is the energy of transition. You are standing between what has been and what is becoming. The days before a major astrological event can feel like a pause before movement. And for Capricorn, that pause may be especially meaningful because you naturally prefer structure, certainty, and knowing what comes next. But right now, you may not be given the entire map. You may only be given the next step. And that is intentional. Something is rearranging internally before it becomes visible externally. Transition. But there is one reason this particular shift may feel so personal, and it has everything to do with what you are finally ready to release. An old version of you is losing power. Capricorn has a reputation for being strong. You keep going. You handle responsibilities. You solve problems. You rarely want people to see how much pressure you are actually carrying, but strength can sometimes become a habit of holding on to an old identity, holding on to an old relationship, holding on to a goal because you already invested so much into it, holding on to an expectation because you once believed it was supposed to happen. August 11th carries a symbolic message for you. You do not have to remain loyal to a version of yourself that no longer feels authentic. Growth does not always look like gaining something. Sometimes growth looks like becoming unavailable for what drains you. You may begin noticing that your tolerance for emotional confusion is decreasing. Your patience for one-sided relationships may disappear. Your desire to prove yourself may become weaker, and that is not you becoming cold. That is you becoming clearer. Transition, and once that clarity arrives, Capricorn, something else becomes impossible to ignore. The truth you have been avoiding. There may be something you already know deep down. You may have known it for weeks or even months. Maybe a situation has been taking more from you than it gives back. Maybe you have been waiting for someone to change. Maybe you have been questioning whether a particular dream still belongs to you. Or maybe you have been pretending that you are okay with something because admitting the truth would force you to make a decision. The energy around this period invites honesty, not dramatic honesty, quiet honesty, the kind where you sit alone and finally admit, this is not working anymore. Capricorn, that realization is not failure. It is information. And information gives you power. You cannot create a new future while constantly negotiating with an old reality. The upcoming eclipse and new moon symbolism can be used as a reminder to stop ignoring the internal signal that has been trying to guide you. Transition. But the most surprising part is what happens after you stop fighting that truth. The emotional detachment begins. One of the strongest signs that you are moving into a new chapter is emotional detachment. Not because you stop caring, but because you stop needing a specific outcome to feel okay. You may think about something that once triggered you, and suddenly it does not have the same power. You may hear from someone and realize you no longer need their validation. You may look at an old dream and understand that your worth was never dependent on achieving it. This is powerful, Capricorn, because emotional freedom is not about having no feelings. It is about having feelings without allowing them to control every decision. During this period, protect your peace. Do not chase explanations from people who have already shown you their behavior. Do not force conversations simply because silence makes you uncomfortable. Sometimes silence is where clarity becomes loudest. Transition, and that silence may reveal something about your next chapter. Your priorities are about to change. Capricorn, your definition of success may be changing. You may have spent years thinking success meant reaching the next milestone, earning more, achieving more, proving more, or becoming someone others could admire. But now you may be asking a completely different question. Does this life actually feel good to live? That question changes everything. You may start valuing peace over performance, meaning over recognition, stability over excitement, authentic relationships over impressive connections, and freedom over approval. This does not mean you are abandoning your ambition. Quite the opposite. You are becoming more selective about where your ambition goes. You are learning that not every opportunity deserves your energy. Not every person deserves access to you. Not every battle deserves your attention. And not every delay means denial. Transition, because one area of your life may be delayed for a reason, and that reason could become clearer very soon. The delay may be protecting you. Capricorn, think about something you wanted that did not happen when you expected it to. Maybe the relationship never became what you hoped. Maybe the job opportunity disappeared. Maybe the move was delayed. Maybe the money did not arrive. Maybe the answer you wanted never came. At the time, it probably felt frustrating, but sometimes timing protects us from receiving something before we are ready to handle it. A delay can create distance between you and a decision that would have cost you more later. So instead of asking, "Why is this taking so long?" ask yourself, "What is this time preparing me for?" That question shifts your entire perspective. The upcoming new moon energy can symbolically represent a reset, not necessarily an instant miracle, but a new intention, a new emotional baseline, and a new direction. Transition. And Capricorn, there is one area where this reset could feel especially noticeable. Love and relationships enter a new phase. When it comes to love, August 11th may bring emotional clarity. If you are single, you may become less interested in chasing chemistry and more interested in emotional safety. You may realize that attraction is not enough. You want consistency. You want honesty. You want someone whose actions match their words. If you are in a relationship, you may begin recognizing what needs to be strengthened. This is not necessarily about endings. Sometimes a shift means deeper communication, healthier boundaries, or a new understanding of what both people actually need. But if a connection has been surviving only because you keep carrying it, this period may make that imbalance harder to ignore. Capricorn, love should not require you to constantly abandon yourself. Transition, and the same lesson applies to something you care deeply about, your future. Your career path is being reorganized. Career energy may also feel different. You may suddenly question whether the path you are on still matches the person you are becoming. Perhaps you want more independence. Perhaps you want to build something of your own. Perhaps you are ready to stop working for recognition and start working for purpose. Do not feel pressured to make every decision immediately. The most powerful career moves are often created during periods of observation. Watch what keeps repeating. Watch what opportunities appear unexpectedly. Watch which environments energize you and which ones drain you. Pay attention to conversations that seem random but stay in your mind. Sometimes your next direction arrives as a small clue before it becomes a major opportunity. Capricorn, you do not need to know the entire future. You only need enough clarity to take the next aligned step. Transition. And that next step may require you to stop carrying something that was never yours. You are releasing other people's expectations. One of the deepest transformations for Capricorn is learning that responsibility does not mean carrying everyone else's expectations. Maybe you have been trying to be the dependable one, the successful one, the strong one, the person who always knows what to do. But what happens when you finally admit that you are tired? What happens when you choose something because you want it, not because it makes sense to everyone else? This is where your personal power returns. You do not need permission to change. You do not need everyone to understand your decision. And you do not need to explain every boundary you create. Your life is not a group project. As this new lunar cycle approaches, consider asking yourself, what would I choose if I stopped worrying about disappointing people? Transition. The answer may reveal the door you have been standing in front of all along. Money and material stability. Capricorn is naturally connected with long-term security, so financial themes may feel especially important during a period of change. You may become more conscious of where your money goes, what you are building, and what kind of security you actually want. Instead of focusing only on immediate results, think in terms of foundations. What skill could increase your earning power? What habit could reduce unnecessary stress? What long-term goal deserves consistent attention? The energy of a new moon is often associated with planting seeds. A seed does not become a tree overnight. Your financial life works the same way. Small decisions repeated consistently can become major changes over time, so do not underestimate the quiet moves you make now. Transition, because the next transformation is not only external, it begins with the way you see yourself. The universe is asking for trust. There is a difference between trusting the universe and sitting back waiting for something to happen. Real trust requires participation. You set the intention. You make the decision. You take the step. Then you allow the outcome to unfold without obsessively controlling every detail. Capricorn, this may be difficult because you are used to planning. But not every chapter can be planned in advance. Some chapters have to be lived. If something leaves, let it reveal why. If something arrives, observe whether it matches your values. If a door closes, do not automatically assume you have failed. Sometimes closure is redirection. The days ahead can be viewed as an invitation to become more intentional about what you are building. Transition, so now Capricorn, let's bring everything together. What you should do on August 11th. On August 11th, give yourself space to slow down and reflect. Write down what you are ready to release. Write down what you want to create. Identify one relationship, habit, belief, or situation that has been consuming too much of your energy. Then ask yourself what a healthier version of that situation would look like. Keep your intentions simple. You do not need 20 goals. Choose the few things that genuinely matter. Protect your attention. Limit unnecessary drama. Spend time with people who make you feel grounded. And most importantly, do not make fear-based decisions simply because you feel uncertain. Uncertainty does not always mean danger. Sometimes uncertainty is simply the beginning of something new. Transition. And Capricorn, there is one final message I want you to remember as this new cycle approaches. Your new chapter does not need everyone's approval. You may reach a point where your next chapter makes perfect sense to you, but absolutely no sense to someone else. Let them have their opinion. Your responsibility is not to make everyone comfortable with your growth. Your responsibility is to remain honest with yourself. You have already survived chapters you thought would break you. You have already walked through uncertainty. You have already outgrown people, places, habits, and versions of yourself. This next chapter does not require you to become a completely different person overnight. It simply asks you to stop betraying the person you are becoming. Let the old identity loosen its grip. Let your standards rise. Let your boundaries become clearer. Let your intuition have a voice. Transition, because the biggest shift may not be something that happens to you. It may be something you finally decide. The decision that changes everything. The most powerful decision you can make right now is to stop waiting for external permission to begin your next chapter. You do not need a perfect sign. You do not need every detail figured out. You need honesty. What do you want? What are you no longer willing to tolerate? What kind of life are you actually trying to create? Answer those questions without editing yourself for other people. Capricorn, your transformation may be quieter than you expected. It may begin with one boundary, one conversation, one application, one decision. One morning where you wake up and realize you are no longer emotionally attached to the past. That is how major change often begins, not with fireworks, but with a quiet internal decision. Transition. And that is exactly why this moment deserves your attention. Family, home, and emotional roots, Capricorn. This shift is not only about ambition and love, it also touches the ground beneath you. Your home, your family, the people who knew you before you built any of your accomplishments. You may find yourself thinking more about where you truly feel safe, not just where you are expected to show up. Some family dynamics may feel like they need a new boundary. Others may feel like they finally deserve more of your presence, not less. You may notice old family patterns surfacing, roles you were given as a child that you never actually chose. The responsible one, the fixer, the one who holds everything together during a crisis. This period may quietly ask you which of these roles still fit and which ones you are only wearing out of habit. Rebuilding your foundation does not always mean physically moving. Sometimes it means redefining what home and family actually mean to you now as the person you are becoming, not the person you were raised to be. Transition. And as that foundation steadies, something quieter starts to grow louder. Your intuition grows stronger. Capricorn, you are known for logic, for proof, for evidence before belief. But during this period you may notice something unusual, a feeling that arrives before the facts do, a sense about a person, a decision, or a direction that you cannot fully explain, yet cannot ignore either. This is your intuition sharpening, and it is worth taking seriously. You do not have to abandon your practical nature to trust it. The two are not enemies. Your intuition may simply be the part of you that already processed the pattern before your conscious mind caught up. Around the eclipse and new moon, pay attention to the thought that returns again and again, the name that keeps surfacing, the idea you keep dismissing but keep circling back to. That repetition is rarely random. Capricorn, let yourself trust the quiet knowing, not as a replacement for planning, but as one more piece of information guiding the plan. Transition. And that is exactly why this moment deserves your attention. Final message for Capricorn. Capricorn, August 11th, represents a powerful symbolic threshold. The solar eclipse and new moon approaching this period can remind you that life moves in cycles. Endings create space. Silence creates clarity. Uncertainty creates room for possibility. You are not behind. You are not being punished by the universe. You are not missing your moment. You are becoming more selective about what deserves to come with you. If something is leaving, allow it. If something is changing, observe it. If something new is calling you, listen. You do not have to force the next chapter. You only have to stop holding the old chapter open. Your life is shifting because you are shifting. And this time, Capricorn, you are choosing what comes next. If you are a Capricorn and this message resonated with you, take a moment right now and comment, "I am ready for my new chapter." Your words can become a powerful reminder of the intention you are setting for yourself. And if you want more Capricorn energy updates, spiritual guidance, and cosmic astrology messages, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Share this video with another Capricorn who may need to hear this today. Remember, you do not have to know exactly where the path is leading. You only have to trust yourself enough to take the next step. Your next chapter is beginning, and you are more ready than you realize.